Welcome to the channel. In this tutorial we will see how we can set up the Visual Studio Code for writing, executing and debugging the C program. Now if you are just interested in writing a C program and executing it as quickly as possible, then I have another method available where we will be using the code runner extension, and the link for the tutorial that I have made will be in the description box. You guys can check that out. Here we will open up the Visual Studio Code, set up the workspace, set up the tasks, and also we will see how we can debug the code. Now in order to continue with this video, you need to download and install Visual Studio Code, and also you need to download and install the C toolset along with the debugger. Now if you don't know about it, then I have the tutorials. Again, the link will be in the description box. So now before continuing, first we will make sure that we have all the tools required. So open up the command prompt, and here we will type in gcc space -- version and hit the enter button, and you will see some version displayed in here. If you get an error message stating that gcc is not recognized as an internal or external command, then it means that gcc is not installed. If it is installed, then you have not set the path environment variable properly. So you have to watch my tutorial and you have to set up everything. Now after that, we will make sure that we have a debugger installed. We will be working with the GDB debugger. So we will check whether it is installed or not. So we will type in GDB space -- version, and here also we will see a version number displayed. If you get an error message stating that it is not an recognized command or something like that, then again it means that it is not installed and you have to install it. Okay, so now here we have the tools required. So what we can do is we can open up the Visual Studio Code and set it up. So I'm going to click on the start button and I'm going to launch the Visual Studio Code. Now here it is opening with the welcome screen. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the file and I'm going to say add folder to workspace. Click on that. Now you can choose whatever the location that you want, but in this case I'm going to save all these files in my desktop, and here I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to say C programming, and after that I'm going to open up this folder. I'm going to create another folder and I'm going to say programs, and after that I'm going to select this folder and I will click on add. Now here in this Explorer window, we can see the programs folder. If the Explorer window is not visible, then you guys can click on this icon which says Explorer. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on file and we will say save workspace as, and again I'm going to go to desktop, and this time I'm going to open up the C programming folder that we have created, and here I'm going to save the workspace. We can give any name. I'm going to say C programming and we will say workspace. We can give any name, and after that we will click on save. So now if you look at the Explorer here, then we have the workspace called as C programming workspace, and then we have the programs folder. Now we will select this programs folder and we will click on this new folder icon, and here we can create a folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder, and inside that folder I'm going to create a file which has the code written in the C language. So here I'm going to say hello world, and also make a note that I'm adding space here between hello and world. Your file and the folder name, if you want you can have the spaces, otherwise you can write it in just one single name. Okay, now click outside and we have this folder. Again we will click on this new file, and now hello space world.c, which will be the file which will contain the code written in the C language. Now I'm going to close this welcome tab, and here I'm going to write a very simple C program, and I'm going to fast forward that one. So here I have written a very simple program which will ask the user to enter his age, and then it will display your age is, whatever the value the user is gonna enter. Now what we have to do is we have to generate an executable file from this source file, and after that we have to run that executable file. Now before continuing, what we do is we will install an extension. So here we will click on this extensions icon, and it will display installed and popular extensions. Here we will search for C, C++, and the first extension that we see here is called as C/C++, and it has been developed by Microsoft, and we will click on that. It provides the C, C++ IntelliSense, debugging and code browsing features. So what we do is we will install this extension. So I'm going to click on this install button. Now it will install the extension, and in the bottom right corner you can see the installation happening. So you just have to wait for the Visual Studio Code to download and install this extension completely. Now this progress bar has been disappeared, and it means that the extension has been installed completely. Now we will click on the Explorer icon in here, and we go to the hello world.c, and also here I'm going to close the extension C++ tab. Okay, now we have the source file. So now what we have to do is we have to generate an executable file. So what we do is we will set up a build task which will build an executable file from this source file. So we will click on the terminal, and we have to click on this configure default task, and keep in mind we just have to do it only once, the first time when we are setting it up. Once we have set up everything, then we just have to write the program, select the task that we want to run, and everything will happen for us. Okay, so now here we can see C++ gcc.exe build active file. It is displayed here in this command palette, and it will also display the compiler that you have installed. It may display the path also. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to click on this option. Now what it does is inside the programs folder which is present in our workspace, it will create another folder called as .vs code, and inside that folder we will have task.json file. This file will contain the build task. Now here we can see some details about this task. For example, the type is cpp build, and we can see the label, and also we can see the command used, the arguments used. If you want, you can pass in more arguments in here. For example, it says default debug information with this -g. If you want, we can change that one to -g3, which will mean that the executable will contain the maximum debug information. And also if you want to pass in any other arguments, then we can specify. For example, what I want to do is I'm going to say if there are any warnings in the program, I want them to be displayed. So here I'm going to specify that one here, -wall, and after that we will add a comma in here. So just like the way I'm doing here. If you want, you can also specify the specific C version to be used for building the executable file. Otherwise it will choose whatever the default C version used. We can change that one later by using another file which will apply for the entire workspace, and we will talk about that later. Okay, after that what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this one, and also go to the source file, which is hello-world.c in this case. Go to file and make sure that autosave is selected, so that whenever we make any modifications, the file will be saved automatically. Now what we can do is we can use the task that we have created and build an executable file. Now before building an executable file, what I want you to do is close the Visual Studio Code and open it up again, so that whatever the new files that we have created, everything will be loaded properly. Okay, close it and relaunch. Now what we do is we will click on the terminal, and we will go to run build task, or you guys can use the shortcut. Click on that. Now what it does is it builds the executable file by using the task that we have mentioned. If you look at the file explorer, then in the hello world folder we have an executable file called as hello world.exe. I misspelled world here, but that's okay, just the name of the file. Okay, so now we have the executable file. What we have to do is we have to run this executable file. So for that, what we need is we need a terminal. So I'm going to click on this plus icon in here, which will create a new terminal for us. And here now we are in this programs folder, and the executable file that we want is actually present inside another folder called as hello world. So first we have to go to the hello world folder. So we will type in cd space hello world. If I hit the enter button here, then we are in the hello world folder. Now if it generates any error, then you just have to type in cd space and then in double quotes type in hello space world. So now we are in the hello world folder where we have the executable file. So what we have to do is we have to write the name of the executable file in here to run it. So it will be hello space WROLD. That's because I misspelled it. And now if I hit the enter button, it says it is not a recognized command because the name contains a space. So I have to write that in double quote. So I'm gonna type in this name in between the double quotes. So it will become one single entity now. And if I hit the enter button, it says enter your age. I'm gonna say 30. It says your age is 30. So what we have done here is we have generated an executable file and also we have run that executable file. One simple trick that I want to show is if you don't want to build the executable file first, then going to the terminal and typing all these things, what you can do is you can set up the task in such a way that it will build the executable file and also it will run it directly. So to do that, what we do is we will open up the task.json file that we have in this .vs code. So I'm going to open it up in here, and here we can see task, and we can see the information specified between the curly braces. So this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy everything which is present from one curly brace to another curly brace here like this. After that we will copy that. Before that, I'm going to close this Explorer so that we can work with more space in here. After that, we go to the end here. We will add a comma. Then we go to the next line and we will paste the content that we have copied. Okay. Now we will go to the second part in here and we will change something. So we will change the type here from CPP build to shell. Okay. After that, we will change the label. We will change the value, and we can say run this C program. We can give any name because we are creating this task now. And after that, we have the command and we have the arguments. So what we have to do here is we have to place these arguments along with the command here. So what we do is after this gcc.exe, we will add a space and we will copy these contents and we will paste them in here. So it will be -g3 space -wall. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in here. After that, we have $file, copy that and paste it in here. We have -o, copy that, paste it in here. And by the way, make sure that you separate them by using a space. After the -o, we have a space, and after that I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in here. And after that, add a space, type in and, just like the way I'm doing in here, and paste this last part again. So it will be like this. So this last part will actually contain the executable file name along with the path. And what we are doing here is we are stating two commands to be executed. One is build the C program, generate the executable file, and after that call that executable file in here by using this. Okay, now we will come back here, and since we have specified these arguments in this command only, we don't need the args. We're gonna remove that, and after that here we will remove this group also. Okay, after that save it. So now we have this task which we have created. Now we will go to the hello world, and also I'm going to open up the Explorer, and we can delete this executable file. So I'm going to right click, delete it, move to the recycle bin. So in this hello world folder now we have only hello world.c. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to run this program by using the task that we have created. So click on the terminal, click on the run task, and now we can see we have two options. One is the build task, which was created by the extension automatically, and then we have run this program task that we have configured. I have given this name, you guys may have given a different name. Click on that. Now here it says we have some error, but it's okay, it is expected, we can solve this. So what happens here is, since the folder name and the file name contains the space, when we write this command here, it treats them as separate entities. So whenever we have the folder name and file name with space, we need to place them between double quotes. So we just have to make this one modification. If the folder name and the file name doesn't contain any space, then this will work. But if it has a space, then we get this error. And by the way, for debugging the program, this is not required. I just wanted to show you guys. If I have taken around 5 minutes of your life, then sorry about that. Okay, now we're gonna go to the task.json again. I'm gonna close the Explorer, and here what we're gonna do is, whenever we have something which can contain space, we place them in double quotes. So we're gonna go to the task that we have configured, which is the task which has the type shell, and label is run this C program. So here this file name, which is displayed in here after -val, and it can contain space. So we have to place the value of that file name in double quotes. And the thing is, this command value is actually specified in double quotes. So we have to escape the double quote that we use in here. So we will use the backslash, we will type in double quote. Again, after file, backslash, double quote. Take your time, observe everything cleanly and do it. After -o, we have folder name and the file name with the extension, and this can contain the spaces. So we have to place them in double quotes. So after the -o, we will type in backslash, double quote. After the exe, we will add backslash, double quote. And here also, when we call the executable that we want to run, it will specify the folder name along with the file name. So that can contain the space. So we will add that after and backslash, double quote. After exe, backslash, double quote. That's it. After that, save it. Now we will go to hello world.c, and here we will open up the Explorer, and we can see hello world folder. And what I have done is I have deleted the executable file which was present in the hello world folder. Okay, now we will click on the terminal. We will say run task. Again, we have two tasks: run this C program, then the task to build the executable file. So we will click on run this C program, and now you guys can see it says enter your age. I'm gonna say 30, and that's it. We have the output of the program. So if you set up this task, then you don't have to use the extensions like code runner or something. Okay, so every time whenever you want to run the program, go to terminal, run task, and select the task that you want to run. So you will get the output. Okay, now we will see how we can debug this program. So what we do is, just above the extension icon, we can see run. Click on that, and it will display a button called as run and debug. Click on that, and it will open up the command palette, and we have two options. One is GDB LLDB or debug using the Windows. If you remember, we have the GDB installed, so we will choose C++ GDB LLDB. So we will choose that one, and now it will say the task to choose for building the executable file for debugging. So here we will choose the task that the C++ extension has created for us. If you remember, that is build and debug active file. Okay, so we will choose that. Now it will start the build, it will finish the build, it will create the executable file, it will launch the debugger, and here in the debug console we can see the debug information, and if we go to the terminal, then we can see the output of the program. Now it says enter your age. I'm gonna say 20, hit the enter button. It says your age is 20. That's the output of the program. The program has run successfully, and also in the debug console we can see the debug information. Now here I'm going to click on the Explorer icon, and what has happened here is in the .vs code folder another file is created called as launch.json. Here I'm going to close this panel, and I'm going to open up the launch.json file, and you can see the information here. We don't have to change anything in here, but if you want to do any changes, then you can do it in here. Okay. So this is the launch file automatically generated for us by that C++ extension. So now we will see how we can debug by using a breakpoint. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a breakpoint. Let us say I'm going to add the breakpoint here in this line number 7. So if you take your mouse just before the line number, then you guys can see a red dot appearing. If you left click in your mouse, it will place that breakpoint in that particular point. Okay, I'm going to add the breakpoint here in this printf statement, and after that what we do is we will click on the run. We go to the this debug section, and here we will click on this option which says start debugging. Click on that. So what it does is it generates the executable file, and then it will start debugging. So now here if you click on the debug console, then we can see the debugging information, and in terminal it says enter your age. I'm going to enter 30, and after that I'm going to hit the enter button in here. Now you guys can see it has hit the breakpoint because I have mentioned the breakpoint here at line number 7. If we go to the debug console, then we can see it says thread has hit a breakpoint at line number 7. And also we can see the more information in here. For example, we can see the values present in the local variable. In this case, we have age is containing 30. And also we can see the call stack and all this stuff. And also we can see the options like continue, step into, step over, and step out, and all these options. So here I'm going to click on step over. Now if I come back to the terminal section, then it will display your age is 30, and since we are in the end of this program, I'm going to click on this continue option, which will run the program until it encounters the next breakpoint, and in this case we don't have any breakpoint, so the program will terminate. So this is how we can quickly set up the Visual Studio Code for debugging the program. And one last thing that we're going to talk in this tutorial is if you want to use a specific C++ configuration, then you can do that. Now I'm gonna remove this breakpoint in here. Now what you can do here is, if you want, you can specify a particular C++ settings to use. To do that, we will click on the view, command palette, type in C/C++ : edit. And you have the option to edit the C++ configurations. You can directly edit the JSON file, or you can use the graphical user interface, which is UI. So I'm going to open up the graphical user interface. Once we click on that, if you look at the .vs code folder, a new file is created called as CCPP properties. And here we can specify particular C++ properties to use. For example, C standard used is GNU 17. For C++, it is using GNU 14. If you want, you can change that one to GNU 20. And for C++, we have the latest standard available used. So if you want to make any changes here, then you guys can make that, and after that you can run your program. So this is it, guys. This is how we can use Visual Studio Code for writing, executing and debugging C programs. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. If you want to say something, then write that in the comment box. For more tutorials like this, do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later in the next video.